Furthermore, let's continue a little bit more for our lovely late IHP show with your very own 5D mystic here, Divine Feminine. We get to bring sciences and spirituality together here because dark matter and dark energy. And so the Divine Feminine feels bad for any of those divine masculines or just masculines. You can use divine, don't use it. I use it because I then say masculine, feminine, because the masculine, the verbal, left mode of our brain, and the feminine, the right, and that's all that comes up from your Divine Feminine, your body. So you have access to your own Divine Feminine when you're the inner child adult. So that means you don't need a therapist. That means you have emotions and they're not laundry. And your Divine Masculine is your mind, and that's how you learn to wield and harness by doing spiritual and self-help together. And that's with your mindset and mind sight and mindfulness. So you're self-aware, accountable, and you know how to regulate. And you do that by being in your own focused attention with kind intention. And that's how we move consistently more and more towards integration of the brain and the restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, and regulating person. That is your birthright as a human being. And this is why heaven in the body is accessible, and that is why then you can go and support others to also become that which we all can have. The people who have had childhood developmental trauma, they can be supported when they are on a healing journey. Okay, so we're going to look at this for a minute because there is this beautiful balance, but I'm not going to use all the words in an effort to avoid people getting lost. Like I said, science shares with the Divine Feminine, and anyone who's a feminine will know you're beautiful just the way you are. They will also know everything in existence is the same energy, manifesting itself in a million different ways, which is why we can feel bad for masculines and divine masculines, because we're sad that they don't get to feel that bliss of life. So they don't get to savor life, because as long as your body and your mind are not friends and you're not in your prefrontal cortex, you have trauma charges, low self-esteem. And this is where the low self-esteem will be clear, because you get very rigid and chaotic the minute that you're in an interaction with any person. Doesn't matter what it is. It's called an emotional trigger. As long as you have low self-esteem, you're going to be triggerable. It's not something to go flaunting around. You actively are not emotionally maturing. So don't talk to a person who knows emotional maturity, which is equanimity. Doesn't mean it's going to be seen as kindness by others. It means that I get to stay calm and collected as I work with my nervous system while you're agitated potentially and in your safety behavior, FYI, which is the 0 to 8-year-old. So we feel bad for divine masculines, who's the people who are over here, or me as a 5D mystic, because they are not even yet experiencing anything that they have come here to potentially be able to become. As long as you are not able to be yourself with people open-heartedly because you don't know how to be you, you're not enjoying yourself. You're not enjoying life. In fact, this is the part. Spirituality, life starts when you can be yourself without taking things personally. I learned as a teenager. I meet grown-ups that have chips on their shoulder to this day. They don't actively hear their tone. And I do. So if somebody says, "Oh, but I think you're holding on to da 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 da," I'll contemplate how I sounded, and I'll contemplate how I felt, and then I'll contemplate if it's true, and then I'll say, you know what, I can process it. So my herd just pointed out something. They witnessed it. They pointed out. I can witness it. I get mindful. There you go. It's not offensive. I can say, yeah, you know what, you're right. I was upset about that thing. I get to work through it. That's it. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So the chip on the shoulder is when you notice people actively get these feelings and they think, I don't want to be with that person. I'm going to go no contact with that person. I'm going to cancel them. I'm going to block them. Okay, so anyways, all that, let me put it aside. When I said, again, feeling bad, I don't mean to disrespect people on their journey, is what I was trying to also get to. But a divine feminine will feel bad because, one, love. It's not a fleeting moment. It is a conscious. It's a conscious constant that grows and that deepens and it expands infinitely. And it is about appreciation and desire. And so until a person can enjoy their self and then enjoy who they are with someone else, and then to consistently, they won't know the depth of love. They won't even know love at all. And they'll miss out on life. And you have this life to use your human name. Then the next time you won't know it. See, I know my past lives. I know my future life, as I was sharing with you all. So this darkness that expert yogis learn about. I learned a bit when I was a kid with accepting my secondary consciousness as a human being. I didn't know all these fancy words, and today I use more fancy words, even though I try not to. But the part about this clash between good and evil, the struggle between two opposing energies with the risk of a no return. So smart human beings talk about there's no inherently good or evil within humanity, and that is actively what we know from anyone who is informing us of what all of that, which is attachment, and also when we have those disorders, the maladaptive child behavior patterns and or adaptive child is not disorders. That's called the codependent type with low self-esteem, indirect communication, passive-aggressive, martyr superiors, blamers. Okay, so porous boundaries, you're not healthy self-worth. Rigid boundaries, not healthy self-worth. Knowing the sense of self, yours is your name, so you need your lens though. Do you have secure attachment? Do you have borderline? Do you have narcissism? Do you have DID? Do you have alters? So the self lens involves a core self. If there's a shame button, then you want to first get that to be seen. It's not broken. You're not broken. You are healable, fixable, but you're not broken. So we use different words again. This is again why a divine feminine will feel bad for divine masculines, because they miss out on life. And they don't actively notice it until they figure out healthy self-worth, meaning that they deserve to be loved and that they are a person, that they're human. In fact, it's only then that a person with maladaptive or adaptive child pattern behaviors will go to therapy. And then maybe they won't stick around because they have the gut wrench torn apart and a lot more. Okay, so that's the extreme version, and the fact of getting lost with this evil, and people who call New Age and spirituality the new ones of us Luciferian, they actively are committed to ancient textbooks because they're just using words like those who weaponize psycheducation and they call somebody a narcissist without noticing what they just did. Call somebody a narcissist needs support and help. They actively don't have healthy self-worth. No, it's not lack of imagination, it's lack of education. And those who stigmatize lack the complete education, and they follow those who are also lacking education. Not to mention compassion, not to mention whoever knows what happened to them as they were growing up. And then we have a group that also are just like Braveheart, thinking that they're doing something, and they actively are, well, let me put it aside. So Bliss, you have it in here because you can always use that lovely oxytocin gene hormone if you're using your inner child, adult. And so that's called, again, spiritual self-help here, being yourself. It's unconditionally loving. It's a constant. So twin flame and flames, yes, it's beautiful. Actively, you're a twin flame. You will know who they are if you're a divine feminine. You will also, if you're a divine feminine, do nothing of the sort that I got to witness. So I'm going to break it down to you in a couple of ways. I have a 1-year-old, her name's Maria. She's completely independent. And that's because I got lucky. And that's because I know what love is. I don't keep you by a cord. You're not my prisoner. The fact that I would even have to struggle once to have you stick around, you obviously are not intrigued by me. Your amygdala is not intrigued by me. Means I don't bring to you what you want in life. I'm not a prisoner. I will nurture you, but that's because you want to stick around. You see what I'm saying? So this is what confidence, I was a teenager, I already knew this. This is, look at my eyes, not hard. You know why? Divine feminine that didn't break away from this lovely restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating, and choosing to turn that cheek. Blessed are those who believe without seeing, and you're my brother and sister, and I would never treat you in a way that I would want to not be treated. That would make me a hypocrite. To actively treat any human being with unkindness would make me a hypocrite to say, you need to treat me with kindness. That's how literal some of us will take things, and actually be very good with it. Because I can know that I can't prove intent, and I won't try to, but I know I will have done something, treat my fellow human being like a human being. And that's what a clear conscious is, by the way. So divine feminine feels bad for all the choice points divine masculines get, but they can sooner or later decide to be what is basically an unconditionally loving with flaws and integrity human being. Join us. Tune in.